Well, I'm Tommy. I'm the artistic director here at the Mateada, which is where we're sitting on Salt Spring Island. And who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? I'm an artist that was born and raised on this beautiful island that I call home, even though I live elsewhere. And this is a landing place where family lives and community is very rooted for me. So this is the place I call home. And I'm an artist in many different ways, a musician, a painter. I love to dance. I love many forms of creativity. So artist feels like a part of my identity and my soul in a big way. I'm also a student of plants, which is feeling really exciting. I feel very young on that path, but it is also a big part of my life. And I'm a member of community.
Yes, you are. I'm curious, as you accumulate these sort of titles, if it feels like it's expanding your sense of self. Sometimes it feels like a great cloud of potential and skill and possibility. And sometimes those things or accolades or whatever they may be don't matter at all, and I just want to be seen as a person. And I wonder if the expanding of like studying plants and developing your music career and developing your role in community and as a person, if it feels like an expansion for you.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And I like the way that you put it. The moments of just wanting to be a human, be a woman, be Safiya, and then these other titles and labels and expressions of myself that come through in different ways. It feels grounding to have places where I can, I guess, claim a sense of development and devotion and focus and a sense of self that does feel expansive through having these avenues that I'm choosing to give my life force to. And it also feels like an inquiry of like, what is under that? Who am I? That's the biggest question that we could ask. That can go beyond words of like, I am a living creature on this earth that is doing my best to be present and loving and open to the possibilities of what could move through me in this body, in this life.
Yeah. That segues really nice into my next question, which is what inspires you?
Nature. The wild beauty of this earth in so many brilliant expressions. And I think growing up here, even like landing back on the island today, immediately hearing the frogs and the bird song and feeling the wind and being immersed in more greenery than I get in the city these days. That inspires me so much, just like the quiet beauty of wild space and the nourishment of community. It always comes back to those two kind of pillars for me.
The wilderness and community.
Yeah. The
Mama
people.
Gaia and Mama Township.
Exactly.
Thank you. And I want to zero in on creativity. Like, how do you find your creative angle in this life? Because there's so many ways to go. So how do you chase and capture your creativity?
How do I chase and capture my creativity?
Yeah, if you want to use that language or not.
I like it. I find that my creativity often comes at night, and often either when I'm alone or with like a small group of kin. And often when I'm feeling a lot is when the most like impactful or long-lasting creative impulses come through. And so, my process at this point is like pull out a phone, put it on a little voice memo, record, and just like freestyle and journey into sound and see what emerges, and let that be first and foremost like just a medicine for my own heart to express whatever's living there in the moment and whatever is emergent. And then either pulling out a pen and paper, and I love the process of writing, and I love the beauty of language and how that can distill certain feelings and bring them forward in a way that beyond just a melody or a soundscape can evoke certain qualities in other people when they listen. And so writing, free writing, freestyling, and then the slow distillation process that comes after that of letting a song, it feels like it finds me more than I go chasing it. Yeah.
You said something in one of your tunes, which is now escaping me, but when we were rehearsing it, Safiya Labelle, who sang with you, mentioned that, you've got to be in therapy to know that word. But I knew that word from herbalism. And
Titration.
Titration. It's like a distillation process in herbology, is it not? Or am I close?
Yeah, it is. It's like the slow process of dosing and like being able to, like, for me, it feels like somatically that line as well was learning resilience through titration. And so for me, it is this slow leaning in and this moving with respect for our capacity. And so whether that's in medicine or whether that's in life, like taking a step and moving slowly and maybe stepping back if things are moving too quickly and letting this slow steeping of like mate in a gourd with hot water, pulling out the constituents of the plant. It's this slow process of distilling something and letting it come to life in a very organic and gentle way for me. That's what the feeling is. I would love to, I will get to learning how to use that in a medicinal context. But for me, it's been more of an emotive, energetic one in relationship primarily.
Titration.
Yeah.
Too cool. What is a roadblock in creativity for you? And then how do you overcome it?
What are the blocks to my creativity and how do I move through them? I find the fear of, I guess, being misinterpreted or, just like the current of my expression not being received in the way that is most accurate or is in alignment with my intention or, I definitely had a lot of stage fright as a kid. I started playing violin when I was 7 and working through like full panic of like being in front of people, expressing my heart and how vulnerable that is. And the repetition definitely helped. I started like busking at the market. And so I was in front of hundreds of strangers every hour, and just the practice of, working that muscle of trust in the moment of just like really going inward and really staying with my body and my heart and that current that flows through. And working with trust, working with prayer, inviting grace. Those have been practices that support moving through the fear and leaning into it and letting it be there, but not stop that exchange of energy when it wants to come through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how that goes. Yeah, it's an amazing force, fear, because it's such a propulsor. It has so much propulsive energy if you can wrangle it. Because it often is like right there with like care.
Yeah.
You're afraid of so much.
Because you care so
because
deeply.
you care so deeply about others' experiences, about how you're perceived, about being vulnerable as an artist and opening up other vulnerabilities and wanting it to be a safe, good space and all of these things. And so, it's really interesting.
Mm-hmm. What does community mean to me? It means a fabric of connectivity and a responsibility of tending to those threads of relationship, and whether that is showing up with a meal for somebody who's struggling, or whether that's going for a walk to hear what's alive in somebody's life, or whether that's just like taking the time to have eye contact and a real connection in a communal space or an event or the market. And I think growing up here as a market kid, as parents who would have potlucks every week and have drum circles and have lots of adults and just like all ages in my life, I have a very multi-generational non-blood family that I feel witnessed by in all the different stages of my growth, and sometimes to a point where it's like I will frequently have people like, oh, I knew you when you were like tiny, and like you might not remember me, but like I watched you grow up. And those threads of being really deeply seen in ways that can be uncomfortable, but also in ways that have truly been deeply, deeply supportive and nourishing, to like have a place where I can come back and reconnect to my spirit through being held in a tapestry that feels so wide and expansive and interdependent. There's a sense of collaborative, like, grace that I feel when the community is continually like weaving with each other and just like witnessing the care that flows, the reciprocity that flows, whether or not I'm a part of it, but I get to witness and tend to my own pieces, my own threads in that. And yeah, it's something that it feels like plugging my roots back into a giant forest system, and like the exchange that happens of nutrients and story that creates resilience in my life and in my family. And yeah, that's, I guess, what it means to me.
Yeah, that's cool. I have similar experience far away from here in a little town of Caslow. And I grew up there and went to high school there and started playing music there. And going back there, I got so lucky in that I went out into the world and became a traveling musician, and then always routed through the hometown like 2 or 3 times a year. And so there's such an important community to me there that has seen me grow as an artist and continually supports.
Yeah.
And so it's like these loops where each time I've come back, I'm carrying something different. The show is different, and the people there are changing ever so slightly, and like a little gray hair, or someone has passed on, or someone has a new baby, and and seeing who I went to high school with has become a prominent community member, and who bought the gas station and runs it now, and who took over the bread shop, and like, and now they have a family, and like getting to the privilege of a traveling artist is like you get to touch in bits with people who you've spent so much of your life with in bits. And I hope that this island, as you develop as a herbalist and develop as a musician and an artist, is always that place for you too. Because I miss my hometown all the time, and I miss how I'm seen there, and I miss seeing the people there. Yeah, so I get it. And then I've been on this island almost 3 years, and I'm starting to see that here too. Like, oh, you've passed on, and you have had a baby, and you had to leave, and you've arrived, and yeah, just that amazing cycle.
Spiral.
Loop. Okay, last question. What makes you come to life, Safiya?
What makes me come to life? Good music, good dance floor, a walk in the forest, laying in the sun and letting it dissolve all of my stories and mental chatter. Nourishing friendships, kinship, relationship, family. Yeah, I spent like 5 hours last night catching up with my dad, who I haven't seen in a few months, and we were pouring through all the beautiful treasures. He beachcombs, and he often finds beautiful arrowheads, and he's got quite a little collection with stories, and yeah, just like hearing his stories and getting to deepen in relating with the people in my life is a big part of what helps me come to life and to stay in a space of feeling connected and inspired, and yeah, sitting by a fire, playing music under the stars, all of these good things.
These are good things. Yeah.
Sharing a gourd with a good friend and some good questions.
Me too.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for who you are and sitting with me today, and may the sun shine upon you.
Likewise. Yeah.